Right then, welcome back. We're going to start creating some visualizations now. So with your NPA4 dataset open, just click first name and then last name. You'll see a table starts to be made. Because we chose the text field first, the default visualization is Power BI as a table. You can see it highlighted down there in your visualizations pane. We're also starting to build the visual. There's various elements to this, but we're building it. We're basically telling Power BI what fields. Now add the field progress, and your table now shows progress per student. But progress should really be shown as a percentage. We'll fix that. Go into the table view and select the progress column. You can see the details there, so update format from general to percentage and 1 decimal place. If you now return back to your dashboard, you'll see it's updated. We're nearly there with that, but the default names, just with Excel, sum of progress, isn't very user-friendly. So in the drop-down there under Build Visual, change sum of progress to progress. And as I said, it takes up a bit less space as well, but it just makes it a bit more user-friendly. We also want to know the last time these students were on Moodle. Course field's a date, so if you expand date, you'll see hierarchy. And in this case, we don't need year and month, so year and quarter. We'll just drag month and day in. Our table now shows name, progress, last time they were on Moodle. But with the table selected, this time next to Build Visual, go to Format Your Visual. Loads of formatting options, but why do we bother? Well, there we go, this is why. That's an example dashboard there with 7 visualizations from a different project we did. Good luck making any sense of it. But that's the same one. That's it formatted. It now makes sense. So the formatting options is not just about making it pretty. It makes it easy to see. And format's split into 2 separate sections: general, title size, background, etc. And then visual, the visual specific ones. So they change depending on your visual. So if you go into general, table doesn't have a title, so turn it on and add the title Moodle Progress. Then you decide on a font size, background, colour and alignment. You'll see on mine I've gone with Arial 15, font colour white, background colour teal, alignment centre. Now close up title and open up effects. And these are 2 things that I would advise putting on every single visual you do, border and shadow. It just separates all the charts on the dashboard, otherwise it can kind of jumble into each other. While we're there, open up visual options for even more. And I tend to update the border colour to match the title. You'll actually see with the drop down that the latest used colours are there. I've put rounded corners and a wider border. Now in the visual options, we don't need column totals, so just turn them off. Now cell elements and apply settings to and choose progress. We're going to add conditional formatting to that column to really show off which students are doing which on their progress. Turn on background colour and you'll get an automatic gradient of blues, but we're going to update that. Click that FX button. On this pop-up, we want to change the lowest value to red, highest to green. So if you select the lowest value and go to more colours, for a 100% red, red 255, green 0 and blue 0. That means it's just 100% red. We then go to the maximum one and we want 100% green. So 0 red, 255 green, 0 blue. Click the add a middle colour, then OK. And you'll see when we go back to our chart, your progress column is conditionally formatted based upon the values within it on progress. Tap that one right into the corner and click off it. Make sure it's not selected because we want add another visual. Thinking ahead there, as I say, we're going to be using these Moodle progresses within the overview sheets, and that's why we've got a separate table. You'll see about that later on. Always plan You know, I know we're just starting on this at the moment, but if you've got a plan as to what you're going to do, honestly, things will go so much smoother. Okay, so here, first name, last name, all the sways, and then mock 7, assessment 910. That's just how we do our dashboards. We had all the theory first and then the practical ones at the end. Obviously, for your own students, you pick whichever order you want them. It just kind of makes sense. As I've put there, if they go in the wrong order, you can just drag them around and build visual. You know, you've got so much control over it. Tables by default don't have a title, so turn that one on and we'll add the title Tasks Complete. And when creating any dashboard, the whole thing should look like a one cohesive, consistently designed piece. We need to format everything the same. So option 1, spend the next 20 minutes doing what we've just done to the second table so it looks like the first. Please don't. There are so many options we can use within Power BI for speeding up duplication. Just don't do that. Option 2, use this thing. Format Painter is in every Microsoft application and so many people just don't use it. Click your first table, click Format Painter in the ribbon, click your second table, and it's done. Format Painter is going to be your friend making dashboards. And if you're not using an Excel, Word, PowerPoint, please do so. It's a great little tool. So as I say, we're going to add a set of student progress cards in a minute, but we're going to add a card to give us a running total. So to launch the Power Query Editor, transform data in the ribbon there under the Home tab, and that will launch this Power Query Editor. And it's a separate program within Power BI. Make sure you've got the NPA4 column selected, and we want to add a new column which is going to be task completed divided by task due to give us a rough idea running total PIs. So we're going to add column, and this time we're going to choose custom column. First thing to do is to name it. In this case, NPA4 PIs. This little formula builder will build the formula for us. And we just click the columns we want. In this case, task complete, and then backslash for divided, task due. You'll see if you've got the little tick, and there's no little red, there's no errors on it. And at the end there, you've now got NPA4 PIs. However, obviously it'd make more sense if it was in percentage. So once you've done your close and apply, just change the format from general to percentage. A quick note there. We've got due dates, but then our Dropbox closes 2 weeks later. A lot of our students work to Dropbox closing rather than due dates. So you have to decide how you want to calculate the PIs for your own classes. Okay, back to the NPA4 dash and add new card. So at the bottom there with a little lightning bolt on it. It's a new version of the card. You can have multiple fields. So these are fields we want. Email address, task due, task complete, NPA4 PI, and marking. And we'll sort the layout first. With it selected, if you go to Format Visual and under Visual Settings, you want to update 3 to 5 so you can see them all. Now into the build visual. Email address is always going to show first because it's a text field, but we want to know how many students there are. So we're going to update that to count, and while you're there, rename number of students. Next field, task due, change sum to average and rename to task due. Next field, task complete, update sum to average and then rename to task complete. And the PIs, again, update sum to average and rename to NPA4 PI. And with marking, just rename to marking complete. So that's us finished updating the build visual, but you'll see there's a couple of things we could tidy up in the way the data is actually displayed. So firstly, quick little format paint and add a title. And then within the format visual, look for values. I would change the size down to 25 within the callout. And then close callout values and open up images, leaving apply settings to all. Turn the image on and add the NPA4 image we sent you. Change it to below text. They'll all change at once. We can do all series at once this way. And then there's two little updates we need to do. In callout values, apply settings to, this time, just task due. Display units, change from auto to none, so it doesn't round up. Decimal places, change from auto to 0. Also, while you're there, go and find the marking complete and format code, update to DDMM for Ys. It just fits in a wee better onto the card like that as well. File save, and your dash should start to look like that now. Click any of the students within Moodle Progress or anywhere you like on there, and the whole dash will filter to give you details on there, and just click again to do it. Now then, just right click on the page and duplicate. You don't have to do all that again, do you? There's so many options within Power BI for speeding it up. Rename your new sheet NPA5, and then we just go through one visual at a time, updating the fields. So from your first visual, update first name and last name from NPA4 to NPA5, again with progress, again with last in course, and you just delete the field and drag the other one in. While we're on that, update the progress from sum to average. Table view, update to percentage and 1 decimal place. And the conditional formatting, remember on your progress, go into cell elements, apply settings to progress, click your little FX button. And remember, minimum is 100% red, max 100% green, add a middle colour. And now your conditional formatting on the NPA5 matches the same on the NPA4. Now, on the next table, same again, delete the fields one at a time from the NPA4 and replace with the NPA5. NPA5, it's the sways in order, but our practical from 5 to 7 is planning, development, evaluation. That's what we call our practical tasks. Just means you've got all your theory and your practical together, just makes sense. Also, back to your Power Query editor, we need to calculate the PIs for the NPA5. So, give it name, NPA5 PIs, and then the formula task complete divided by task due. And as I said, I would probably do the other 3 sheets while I was here as well. Close and apply to apply it back. Update to percentage, 1 decimal place. Now to update the last visual. Number of students, 4, replace email address 5, task due 4, replace task due 5, task complete 4, task complete 5, etc. You're just swapping the fields around and then just a wee update after that. Do the build visual updates first. Email address, change from first to count, rename to number of students. Task due, change from sum to average, rename to task due. Task complete, sum to average, rename to task complete. PIs, change from sum to average, rename, earliest marking, rename to marking complete. That would be your build visuals. Now a couple of little bits of formatting to update. On the task due, change the display units to none, decimal point 0, marking complete, show as DDMM YYYY, update the title to NPA5 overview, and it should look like that. With a little bit of practice on these things, honestly, you can just bash through them in no time. For 6 PDA and WIDIs, once again, duplicate the page, change the fields, and update a wee bit. As I put there, with a little bit of kind of practice and a lot of planning, you could do the entire lot from scratch in about an hour. And time well spent if it's going to save you dropouts. All right, I think that's plenty for a bit. We'll come back and we'll have a look at the overview dashboards when we come back. All right, thank you.